So it was another fantastic week in the Premium Forex Signals group on Telegram, making more than 670 pips profit to our clients with more than 84% of winning ratio. Our signals have made all these profits. As you can see, we have posted these results in the free group, and check this out. All of them thankfully are in green. Barely any losses here and there, and even when we had here these very small losses, instantly we have recovered with so many signals. And since the beginning of September, we have made more than 868 pips, and we are just barely in the first 10 days of this month. So I think by the end of this month, hopefully, we will reach maybe 3,000 pips of profit. We can do that, and we actually have done that many times. So of course, the clients are enjoying the experience. As we can see right here, in just one single day, we have made more than 333 pips of profits to our clients. And I wanted to show you, my friends, the feedbacks from our clients who are actually very happy with the experience of our Forex signals. This is actually outstanding performance, and let me just tell you something. This is not normal. You cannot have these amazing results every single day. Thankfully, with Xtreme Trader, we have these results for continuous 2 months so far, and actually we are looking for better results in the future. Again, I'm very excited for the next week. I believe we will actually make even more signals and more profitable signals, and hopefully we will reach not less than 1,000 of pips. So make sure to join the premium group right now and don't miss any of our signals. So of course, if you wish to join Xtreme Trader Forex Signals group, please contact our support. You can find their contact details in the description below this video. Contact them today, and hopefully we will see you there. Alright, my friends, so before we start the weekly analysis, please don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe to the channel. Share the video. Hopefully it will go viral, and hopefully we will have more subscription going on the channel. And let's now, of course, begin with the Euro USD. Actually, I have sent here this Friday analysis, but sadly the market has just resumed the rise, and of course did not reach our buy entry. Actually, the entire Friday analysis didn't work except for the USDJPY. It sadly has failed miserably. Anyway, let's see now what we can do next week with the Euro USD. So anyway, what we're having here, my friends, is something very interesting. Let me just delete the old signal, and let me just tell you something. Right now, if we check the weekly chart right here shows us a double bottom pattern. Check this out. The Euro USD has actually reversed on October 7th. Sorry, I mean 10th of July. Sorry, I read it in the other way. 10th of July. The market has reversed at that support on 0.99543. Then, for continuous 3 weeks, 1, 2, 3 candles, the market actually has failed to close above that, below that level of a support. Then finally, the last week, this candle has actually opened below this week, below the level of that support, but actually has closed way above that level of a support, pushing the market to continue the rise. And that means that this was actually a strong bullish engulfing candle, which now we can rely on to decide that we should actually consider buying the Euro USD. So I believe, based on the weekly chart, the next week is going to be bullish for the Euro USD, and most likely we can continue buying till the market reaches that level of a resistance at 1.02599. Now, going now back to the 4-hour time frame. Actually, I don't even need to look at the daily chart. The daily chart even confirming my theory. Right here, this is the support, and as you can see, we had here the reversal. This was, you can see, like a false breakout, but the market has indeed respected that level of a previous support as well, and the market has been ranging on that level. Then finally, on Thursday, the market has respected that level of a support and reversed right from it. And again, on Friday, it was actually a strong bullish candle, and the market resumed rising. So everything confirming to me that the Euro USD is actually going to continue the rise. We are just facing here a resistance right now, and based on that, we can expect from the market to make another pullback, and based on that pullback, we can actually find our good entry. How? By simply going to the 4-hour time frame. And right now we can see that the market has reacted to that resistance. As we can see, this red candle right here represents the reaction of the market reaching the level of resistance right here at 1.00881. That's actually a real level of a resistance. This one right here was a false breakout, and hence the market is actually now falling. But how far is the market going to continue the fall? That's the question. The answer lies in that resistance trend line right here. We are having here a resistance trend line, and check this out. The EURUSD has indeed managed to break out from that level of a resistance trend line. Now, it's a game about finding the real level of a support to find the most accurate level where the EURUSD might reverse at. And if I just move this line right here, check this out. This is actually very interesting. Right now, first of all, we are having here two attempts of a real level of a support. Then we have here a false breakout, and pay attention, the real level of a support has also become a support right here, which means the market has indeed respected that level. Now let's see what happened in the current time. And by the way, I will show you something very interesting right now. It might be a mind-blowing. Now we can see that the level of the previous support has become a real level of a resistance as well. But pay attention, this entire pattern represents, in my opinion, a false breakout, because the market has broke out from that level of a support and made us thinking that the EURUSD right now will continue the fall. Seeing all these wicks right here indicates a pressure from the market to continue pushing, taking the market down actually. But what happened here is phenomenal. The market has actually on September 7th, I believe, has made a very strong bullish movement and actually broke out from that level of a previous resistance. Ended up with a pattern which seems like entirely a false breakout, which means that level of a real support right here is most likely gonna be respected again right after this bullish candle. Not only that, but according to my strategy, which I call it the 20 pips a day strategy, usually we want to start buying the market once we see a strong bullish breakout candle. Then we need to mark the levels on the closing price and the opening price of the opening price of the candle. Then we have to find the nearest support to that bullish breakout candle. By scanning this level right here, I don't see any support at all. Then right here, that's a support. That is exactly the nearest support to that bullish breakout candle, which matches up along with this resistance trend line, which means that most likely the market first of all will create here support number one as respecting of that level of a support, and also support a trend line number one as well, because we have here the broken level of a resistance trend line, and the market most likely will continue the rise. Now the interesting thing is, if we started buying right here, the target eventually has to be right here, my friends, the resistance at 1.01728, because that's most likely where the market might actually reverse from. But as we can see, that's about 164 pips. I mean, that's not my style. I prefer always to give more realistic levels of take profit, which makes me thinking that the take profit level, the suitable one, is gonna be right here, the nearest support or the nearest strong key support level to our entry, which means we can actually aim approximately 124 pips profit from the signal. Meanwhile, the safe zone shouldn't actually be ranging lower than this level of a support right here as 0.99632, because if the market will be able to reach that level, then that means that eventually we had here a false breakout from that level of a resistance trend line. And what will happen next is, if the market has reached this level, we can actually expect from the market to continue the rise, respecting that level of a resistance trend line, and afterwards it might actually continue the fall. So I'm telling you something, if this happened, and I hope it won't happen, of course, we have to wait for the market to rise, to reverse right at that level. Don't ever place a stop loss right here. Wait for the market to reverse right there. Then wait actually for it to continue the pullback. Once it reaches that level of a resistance trend line, close your trade in loss. But again, hopefully that won't happen. Anyway, let me please now write the signal for you. That's everything, my friends, for the EURUSD moving now to the pound USD. And by the way, I forgot to mention, the edge of the safe zone for the EURUSD will be ranging for about 44 pips against, of course, 124 pips of profit. Now back to the pound USD. Regarding the pound USD, of course, the Friday signal, of course, hasn't been triggered, but thankfully I have seen some comments of some members who have followers who have made profits with these with the analysis. They actually relied on it to find their direction of the market, and for that I'm so glad. Anyway, let's see now what we can do next with the pound USD. We need to go now to the weekly chart. Now the weekly chart shows us a strong reversal upon the pressure from that lowest level of a support at 1.14532. I actually have said that repeatedly. The pound USD will continue the fall till it reverses on that level of a support. It has to be. Buying on that support was actually ideal. As we can see, the market has reversed for more than 141 pips so far after reversing from that level of a support. Now, going to the daily chart. The daily chart shows us also a very strong level as a support right here. The market actually has performed a reversal pattern for the entire week. So right now, I believe the week after, which is of course the next week, the pound USD will actually continue the rise till it reaches the peak of the resistance right there at 1.18368. So now, after confirming the direction on the daily chart, we have to go to the 4-hour time frame just to find the right entry. Perfect. Now, let's find our strong key support level to find the right entry. Now, all we need to do is simply, of course, divides the support and the resistance levels. And by the simple, actually, I just need to look at this simply. Exactly right there lies a real level of a previous support. Now, of course, let's go to the 1-hour time frame just to see it in more details. Pay attention. That level of a support at 1.15496 has actually been respected repeatedly 1, 2, and 3 times. So meaning the pound USD, it seems like it's actually facing a problem with this level of a support, because every single time the market has reversed at that level, it has made a bearish breakout and instantly the market rose above that level. And pay attention, it has respected that level again right there. Even when the market has made another false breakout, instantly the market rose again above that level of a support, and repeatedly. Again, we see it here, we see it here, we see it right there, and again right here. So every single time this level of a support has been respected, which means all we need to do is waiting for the market to continue the fall upon the pressure from the resistance at 1.15886. There is a pressure from that level. We can expect from the pound USD to fall again for about 37 pips, and from that level we can start again buying the pound USD. Not to mention, of course, that we're having here also a support trend line. If I draw it like this, perfect. Now we can expect actually from the market to respect that level of a support trend line after the market being ranging on this level, respecting it also as a resistance trend line. And pay attention that every single attempt of the resistance trend line was actually a false breakouts. Every one of them, which means this level is very strong as a support. As a support trend line, I mean. That's why we can actually assume that the market will reach this level respecting the support trend line, and hence it's afterwards is going to continue the rise. We have to wait for the pair to fall for about 37 pips, and of course once we do that, the target has to be placed right there at the peak of the resistance at 1.16906, which means we are aiming 140 pips profit from this signal against, let me just show you the edge of the safe zone. Exactly. It shouldn't actually be ranging lower than this level of a support trend line, since we are actually relying on it. And if the market will break out from that level of a support trend line, then most likely that means that this was entirely here a false breakout as well, and the market again will reverse and respect that level of a resistance trend line and continue the fall. But again, I don't think this is gonna happen. So anyway, let me write the signal for you. And there goes your signal, my friends, for the pound USD. Is going to be the safe zone will be ranging for about 36 pips only. We don't really require more than that, and the take profit level of about 140 pips. Moving now to the AUD USD. Okay, so again we have to get rid of this old signal which hasn't been triggered, and let me just tell you something. The signal for the AUD USD is very straight and simple forward. Simple and straightforward, I mean, sorry. So all we can see right here, my friends, is that the market has indeed managed to break out from that level of a resistance at 0.68380. Now, pay attention. All we can actually need to do, we need to move to the daily chart right now, even weekly chart, but I don't think it's required. It's very clear for me that on the weekly chart, the AUD/USD has indeed reversed on that level of a support at 0.6778, and obviously, in my opinion, the AUD/USD is going to continue the rise. So moving now to the daily chart, I mean, we don't actually see much here. All we can see right here is we are having a real level of a support and a false breakout. Again, real level of a support and another false breakout. So you might say that the AUD/USD will continue the fall till it reaches that level of a support and then continue the rise, but that's gonna take a long time to happen. I mean, 66 pips. The AUD/USD will surely reverse before that. So now going to the 4-hour time frame. Now this is actually better. On the 4-hour time frame, we can notice that right here exactly at 0.68090, we can identify here a very strong real level of a support. And that's of course the point of using a smaller time frame, because on the daily chart, we actually couldn't see that, not to mention of course the weekly chart. So moving to the small time frame, such as 4-hour or 1-hour time frame, can always help you to find the perfect entry for your setups. So the philosophy I'm using in Forex is simply identify the direction on the bigger time frame, such as weekly or daily chart, then find the right or the exact entry right on the smaller time frame, such as 4-hour or 1-hour time frame. So we have to wait for the AUD/USD to fall for about 34 pips to buy at 0.68090 before we can start buying this pair. And of course, the take profit level, my friends, has to be placed at the nearest strong key resistance level right here at 0.68973, which means we are aiming approximately, I would say, 88 pips profit from this signal against 33 pips as the edge of the safe zone, because it shouldn't actually be ranging lower than this level of support. And there goes our signal, my friends, for the AUD/USD. Moving now to the USDCAD. Alright, so as you can see, the signal for the USDCAD from the last Friday hasn't been triggered, but the bearish movement is strong. Actually, I was originally going to send you a signal to start shorting the USDCAD from that level of a resistance at 1.30595. But as you can see, the market has just resumed the fall. So, I mean, from here, the market has resumed the fall right from that level before reaching this level of a resistance. So, this price action indicates that most likely the market will open with a strong bearish candle, and most likely it will continue the fall for about 27 pips. Let me just tell you something. We are having here also a real level of a support. Pay attention, please. This was, my friends, a real level of a support as well, followed by another false breakout. Now, what we're having here is, number one, the first attempt of the support, and we can actually expect from the market upon the price action right here to continue the fall till it reaches that level of a support. Then it will continue the rise till it reaches our perfect entry. My perfect entry actually lies right there at that level of a resistance, which means we have to wait for the market to continue the rise for about 61 pips. But is it necessary? Let's check out. I want to confirm if it's really necessary or not, and the way to do that, what I'm doing usually to find the perfect entries, is relying on the resistance trend lines. And all I need to do is simply draw here the resistance trend line from this higher high to this lower high. Simply like that. That's, my friends, the right way to draw the resistance trend line, ignoring this level and this pattern in the middle, because this was simply a false breakout. And now, pay attention. All we need to do is simply drag the very same resistance trend line which I have drawn here, and check this out. The market has actually been respecting this level repeatedly, and you can actually see the market has reversed at that level of a support trend line, again right here at that level of a real resistance trend line, level of a resistance trend line. Then in the middle we had another false breakout, and again check this out, a real level of a resistance trend line, false breakout, then again real level of a resistance trend line, and so on. So that means I can actually rely on this level to find the perfect entry. The way to do this is simply by placing this line right there exactly right here, at the peak of the resistance right there. So we can tell right now that we have here a resistance trend line, which repeatedly has been respected as well right here. So now we can actually expect from the USDCAD to continue the rise again, as I have mentioned earlier, to continue the rise till it reaches that level of resistance, which is going to be the second attempt of the resistance, because we have here a resistance number 1, and we can expect from the USDCAD to rise again. First of all, it's going to be a resistance number 2 on horizontal level, and it's going to be a resistance trend line number 2 also on this resistance trend line level. I know it's a boring explanation, but that's my best explanation, my friends. So anyway, long story short, we can actually short the USDCAD at that level of a resistance at 1.30405. And of course, if we do that, the take profit level has to be placed right here at this level exactly of a support at 1.2915, which means we're aiming approximately 125 pips profit from this signal. Meanwhile, the edge of the safe zone shouldn't actually be ranging higher than this level of a nearest resistance to that bearish breakout candle, which means it's going to be ranging for about 54 pips. And there goes our signal, my friends, for the USDCAD. Moving now to the USDJPY. Okay, so please accept my apologies, guys, if anyone has lost money because of this signal. As we can see, the USDJPY these days is really hard to predict. As I mentioned, of course, it just kept rising over and over, and it was in the uncharted water, as I have mentioned earlier, and therefore it was hard for me to decide where is the reversal point. But now, looking at the weekly chart, we can see here a weakness in the level after reaching the long-term resistance right here at 144.713. The USDJPY has indeed failed to break out from that level and fallen for about 210 pips after touching that level of a resistance. Indicates that most likely right now the USDJPY is way overbought, and most likely it will continue to fall right now to gain some liquidity. Sorry, it's gonna fall again to fall all the way right here to retest the broken level of a resistance at 138.916. Sorry. After that, we can consider buying the USDJPY, but until then, I believe that we can actually focus on selling this pair. So now going to the 4-hour time frame, actually going even to the daily chart. Let me just tell you something. This price action, I usually rely on it to find my bearish reversals. We can see it happened right here as well, almost the same price action. After the appearance of it on the resistance, the next candle actually was bearish candle, and as we can see, the market has fallen for about 276 pips. We can see the same has happened right here. After the appearance of this candle on the resistance level, the market just kept falling. And so on. Actually, if we check the history, this candle, I would say usually it's reliable. Again, we can see its appearance right there. After the appearance on the resistance, the market just kept falling down for about 320 pips and so on. So, meaning, most likely based on the daily candle, the USDJPY is going to continue the fall, and I believe this resistance right here, the nearest resistance to that bullish breakout candle, is going to be our target. So now moving to the 1-hour time frame, just to have very accurate entries. Now pay attention. This is our target right here, the nearest resistance to that bullish breakout candle. So right now, where exactly we can start shorting the USDJPY? Well, by looking at the level of 143.084, we can see how the market has been reacting to this level. So in general, we have here a real level of a resistance, as well. It has been respected, and in the middle, we had a major false breakout. That indicates that most likely the USDCPY might actually continue the rise based on the pressure from the support right here at 142.446. The USDJPY will actually continue the rise again, making another attempt of the resistance right here at 143.084, which means we have to wait for it to rise for about 50 pips, I would say, before we can start shorting it, aiming approximately 225 pips profit from this signal. Meanwhile, the edge of the safe zone shouldn't actually be ranging higher than this level of a real support right here at 143.741, which means the edge of the safe zone is gonna be ranging for about 68 pips. And there goes the signal, my friends, for the USDJPY. Moving now to the USDCHF. Alright, perfect. So right now, regarding the USDCHF, we can see the market has indeed went in the right direction, but sadly did not trigger our sell level. That's okay. Let's see now what we can do next with the USDCHF. Let's go to the weekly chart. Alright, so the weekly chart shows us a very strong reversal from that level of a resistance right there, that resistance zone at 0.98540. The market has actually made several attempts to break out from that level of a resistance, and based on the weekly chart we had 1, 2, 3, 4 attempts, and remember each attempt consists of 2 candles, which means the market has indeed kept trying to break out from that level of a resistance since May. So I mean, we're talking about more than 4 months of attempting to break out from that level of a resistance. Eventually the USDCHF of course has failed to break out from it. Therefore I believe the week after is going to be bearish for the USDCHF. Now moving to the 4-hour time frame. On the 4-hour time frame, all we need to do is simply find the nearest strong key resistance levels, and that by simply looking at this level of a resistance exactly right there. Perfect. So now let's track this level of a resistance. So first of all, we're having here this long wicks at that level of a resistance. Then we had here a small false breakout, and again the same level of the resistance has been respected right there. Not only that, but check this out. Real level of a resistance, false breakout, and again false breakout, and a real level of a resistance. Then immediately we had another false breakout without any single attempt of one support. That's interesting because it means with the USDCHF is right now facing that support right there at 0.95775, which means most likely is going to continue the rise upon the pressure, of course, from that support, and it will reverse right on that level of a resistance where, of course, we can start shorting the USDCHF, which means we have to wait for it to rise for about 45 pips before we can shorting it. And of course, not to mention, if I draw here a resistance trend line just like that, perfect. We can see that the market most likely is going to respect that level of a resistance trend line right after this false breakout. And again, simply right there, my friends, we can start shorting the USDCHF. If that happens, I'm actually aiming the lowest level of the support where the USDCHF has originally reversed, which means we can actually make 102 pips profit from this signal. Meanwhile, the edge of the safe zone is ranging only till the peak of that resistance right there at 0.965885, which means it's going to be ranging for about 39 pips only. And there goes the signal, my friends, for the USDCHF. Moving now to the gold. Alright, now let me just tell you something interesting. For the gold, I believe the gold is going to continue the rise. Let me just tell you something. The gold seems like it's recovering after the major falls happened in the last few weeks. And pay attention, my friends. I told you many times that the level of 1700 is a critical level for the gold. And most likely the gold is going to reverse upon the pressure from that level. Always 1700, I said that many times, 1800, 1900, even 2000 is of course a very critical levels for the gold. That being said, we can see that the gold has finally reversed at 1700. If we move to the weekly chart, notice that the market has been trying to break out from that level of 1700 since March 2020, since COVID actually. And now pay attention. March 2020, May 2020, and again February 21, and again August 21, and again July 2022, and finally current time, of course, August 2022. The market or the gold has failed repeatedly to break out from 1700, which means that the gold most likely is going to continue the rise. But the question is where exactly we can start buying the gold. I insist to use the same support trend line which I have used on last Friday. That support trend line, my friends, is very reliable, and therefore we can actually expect from the gold upon the pressure from that support trend line, because we can see the market has repeatedly respected that level, and in the middle we had here one false breakout, which pushes me to think that passively that the gold is most likely going to reverse and touch this level of a support trend line. But the question is, we have to find a strong real level of a support on horizontal level, and pay attention right there exactly. Perfect. Right there at 1711, sorry, 0.18, the market has created here a real level of a support, and again a support right there, support right here, and we can see that the market every single time broke out from that level, it was instantly a false breakout with barely any attempt of a resistance. Check the history. We had here a false breakout. Immediately the market went above that level of a support, immediately, without creating any resistance, and again the market has broke out from that level again, and instantly without a resistance, and again another false breakout. Now barely we had one small tiny resistance attempt, and instantly the gold broke out from that level. So you can see how 1711 is really a strong level of a support. Now all we need to do is simply wait for the gold to fall for about 56 pips before we can start buying it. And this time I'm going to give you a more realistic level for the gold, so hopefully we can all get out with a decent profit from the gold without actually waiting unrealistic numbers of profits, which means we can actually make 185 pips profit from the signal, and of course a safe zone that shouldn't be ranging lower than this level of a support as 1703.75, which means the safe zone is ranging for about 73 pips only against 185 pips of profit. And there goes your signal, my friends, for the gold. Again, I want to remind everyone to be careful this week, my friends, and don't ever put all your eggs in one basket. Be careful about your money management, and of course this analysis is subjective to fail due to any reason. It could be some high impact news or fundamentals. So again, my friends, pay attention. Technical analysis is something and fundamental analysis is something else. We will have the core CPI news this week for the USD, so please be careful and wise, and I will update you, my friends, soon. And of course, don't forget to join the free group on Telegram. It's a free group. You don't have to pay a penny to join this group. That group, my friends, I usually warn everyone about the news and about the signals which I'm sending here on YouTube, telling them to be careful or to close this signal right now. Avoid opening this signal right there. So please be careful, and of course, trade wisely. So again, I hope that was informative to you, and I would like to thank you for watching.